if anyone here is new to our group, welcome. Welcome everybody. My friend Jesse is going to be joining us here today. And he's going to be sharing with us today. But I want to let everybody know that Saturday afternoon groups, these are going on every Saturday. And I want people to feel free to come as they please and leave as they please. No pressure if you come, no pressure if you don't. It's just something that I'm doing anyways, because it is beneficial for me to practice talking about natural healing, to practice the thoughts and words of healing, which are loving thoughts and words. So it's practicing love. It's just coming together in a group and sharing love. There's no right or wrong way to heal. It's removing the incorrectness in our life. So it's just identifying the problem and removing it from our life, and then the body just heals naturally. It's not something that we need to get so much as it's about getting the problem out is what it is. So this is going to be something it's not a formal thing what we do here. It's definitely a little bit different, going to be a little bit different every week. I'm going to have different people sharing every single week. It's not only going to be me, that's for sure. Today we're going to be having Jesse popping on. Hopefully shortly we'll see him. But it's not always going to be sharing. It's also going to be just listening. So hopefully, people that appear can offer questions, share their experience. The body and life heals when we communicate and share and get a different understanding. But in order to get a different understanding, we kind of have to open ourselves up and allow what is currently going on to kind of come out. And that can be a little bit scary. I understand that. If you don't feel like sharing, you don't have to. No one's going to be forced to share. But I will let you know that sharing is a big part of healing. Let that sink in. And whenever you feel like you want to share, I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. We all grow from each other. One light inspires another. Just hearing another person speak, just listening to another person's frequency or vibration or feeling affects each one of us. Every soul is connected. Every soul is connected. Every soul is inspired by the other souls. So we all heal together when we come together with a loving intention. So, we're just coming together in a group with an intention of aligning ourselves with the loving nature, the loving natural force, the creative energy, the Christ consciousness, the God force, however you want to think of that energy, Mother Nature, however you want to think of that energy. It's the universal healing energy. It's the natural energy. This is what heals. Nature heals. Nature heals. We're just coming together as a group. And as a group, we're coming together in love and community, right? And when two or more come together, there is power there. And when more of us come together, we bring even more healing power together. So coming together in a community, I'm trying to create a community where, it's a bit selfish. I heal from being in that community. And hopefully all of you are healing from what we hear and what we share here today as well, too. My good friend, Jesse, I'll tell you, I've been kind of bouncing around with Jesse for the last 3 years, I would say. About 3 years ago, we kind of found our way together, just thinking and speaking and talking about the same things. That's how we came together. And since that time, we've both grown, we've both learned, we've both changed. And some of the things that I thought 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I started into natural health, I've changed them. And I want to say that, you know, it's change of mind that allows health to happen. Whatever I'm thinking is creating what I've got. So if I want to get something different, I've got to think and say and do something different. Welcome, welcome everybody. We're just coming together to share love. Today I've got my friend Jesse here. He's going to share freely. I want him to share about his story a little bit, about his experience and what he's learned and what he's doing with what he's learned, what he's standing behind, what he's getting behind, what he's doing about it. And I hope that, you know, if you like what happens today, that you'll come back next week or you'll join in on Sunday morning for our exercise session. That's the same thing, a free open exercise session for people that want to come together in a community and heal together in a community, right? I'm selfishly looking for the loving energy of people to come together. Okay, that's what I'm looking for here. When we come together and share like this, if you're inspired by what you see, reach out to me. If you like what's happening, hang around with us, and we'll get you an opportunity to share as well too. Everyone gets to share if they want to share. Okay, that's a for certain thing. That's a for certain thing. We just build relationships, and relationships happen through engagement together, through sharing together. That's how we build relationships. That's how we heal ourselves with love. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much to the group for joining us. And Jesse, thanks so much for coming and sharing with us today, brother.
My pleasure there, John. My pleasure. Always good to key in with you and connect. I love what you're doing here. I think this is just what is medicine that's called for, is gathering in community, like minds, masterminding. You know, if you fail to plan, you can plan to fail. And there's people with other prerogatives and a plan for us and our health and how money is made, etc. There's all this machinations that are built into the system that kind of prey upon us. And there's ways in which we have to take on for ourselves the responsibility of our health, and in ways become our own doctor. So I thank everyone for showing up here. It means you have that spirit, of responsibility, which is truly responsibility, in my view, equals freedom. It's the same thing. You get what you want by taking responsibility for it. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, brother. Thank you. This is about being present. This is about being present together. This is about breathing together. So maybe even just before Jesse talks and shares a little bit about his story, let's just take a conscious breath. Let's just take 5 conscious breaths together. Let's just breathe together in silence for 5 focused breaths, just watching the inhale and exhale and not being distracted by whatever's going on in our life. It's tuning out the noise. It's tuning out the problems. It's tuning out the sickness. It's tuning out the disease. It's getting present. And the present, the now, is where the power is where the love is where the joy is. It's always in the now. And we can always find our way to the now through the breath. So let's just take 3 more focused breaths together, just watching the inhale and the exhale together. Just coming to the same moment together and intending healing for all of us here, intending love and healing for all of us here. Thank you. Thank you. Jesse, please share, Jesse, about what's on your heart, brother.
Blessed love. Number one, that's beautiful. That's really the number one thing on my heart, is this understanding that we're all connected. We're all one. There's only one of us here. The things we do to ourselves, in mind and otherwise, we, radiate out to creation, and becomes the ripples of reality that become. So when we can slow down and put forth those more meaningful intentions of connection, community, a heart center, that's the main thing that appeals to me. And everything I do with respect to practices and my work, my whole concentration is around this opening up of the heart center and cultivating life in people and on the planet. And we can all take on this role. This is something that is natural to us, actually, that we would care for ourselves, care for our families, care for our community, and care for the earth, more so than be in competition. But we've had a lot of entrainment to this, and now is more of a time, in my view, to synergize and realize this oneness and find ways to, on the one hand, become more singular in our concentration and in our mind and in our life, so that we can have that sense of oneness as well, but similarly connect with one another and remember that the members of our community, when we connect with the members of our community, we remember, literally, like the digits of our fingers and our hands and our arms, all the different parts of ourselves that remind us what makes us whole, and to have accountability partners, and friends of support, to be in a growth space where you have people who have walked through some of the fire and can help, lead you through. And there's encouragement to even fail. We're not encouraged to fail enough. And I remember I was a skateboarder growing up, and us and my friends and I, when we were trying a new trick, we would try it 1,000 times until we got it. And every time we'd be like, yeah, man, you almost got it that time. That's the spirit, like, instead of cutting each other down, cutting ourselves down when we fail. That just means we're just getting better at honing our ability to do the thing, So that's been some good medicine in terms of thought for me lately. But in terms of my story, just to backtrack so you can get to know who I am, and just to share, the healing path started for me many, many years ago. I think it started first when I was a child, when I was hiking with my folks, and I fell asleep on my dad's shoulders, and I woke, and he put me down in this field of flowers, and I just realized, I was like, hey, we're in heaven. Cool. I made it. I've arrived. And ever since I've been, that was, I'm a herbalist, and that, I feel, was the first time the plants called to me. And this understanding that everything is medicine. You and I are medicine. The plants are medicine. The earth is medicine. The sun is medicine. And so keying into our inner sense, all of our higher self is just as smart as everyone else's higher self here, and everyone's inner guidance is leading them to what their highest potential and benefit is. but we have to take the signs and listen to them, go with them. So anyway, getting on with my story. I grew up also normal suburbanite kid, skateboarding, eating pizza and McDonald's, you know, playing video games in the college years, drinking beer and eating meat and everything. And eventually it caught up with me in terms of depression and bad digestion and, you know, physical illness. And somewhere in my 20s, you know, I'd started a landscape. I've been a permaculturalist now for 20 years. I grow food and medicine for people, or I have in the farmer's market setting. You know, now I make tinctures and salves and sell superfood juices and all manner of stuff. That's one of my main ways in which I seek to impact the health of my community, is through the wisdom of the plants and what they offer us. But yeah, I had gotten really ill from that lifestyle, even though I was eating all organic and everything. You know, it was just a toxic diet and lifestyle that I was leading, and thought too. And at a certain point, I hit a wall, and I remember one day going to work. I'd started hearing about raw foods. I'd started meditating again, and I'd started sun gazing. I'd heard about sun gazing. This guy, HRM, and I was a consciousness explorer. I'd, you know, also explored with vision plants in those younger years, and that was part of what led me to the path of herbalism and sort of shamanism. You know, it's an appropriate relationship with all plants can be beneficial, but it has to be appropriate and respectful. Those were some of the lessons learned, but whatever the case, I started exploring with raw food because it came in through some of the wisdom downloads from these various teachers I was listening to, David Wolf and others. And I started exploring with it just by adding. At first, my wife was like just encouraging me, and we bought a Vitamix. We started having some smoothies. And then, like, I would start, instead of bringing a sandwich, I'd do a salad with like meat on it, you know. And eventually my digestion and things were just leading me toward lighter and lighter. I remember one day I'd pretty much gone the way of raw, but I just really wanted a breakfast burrito. So I stopped at my favorite place and I ate one, and I went to work, and I spent 2 or 3 hours like basically rolling around on the ground trying to get my crew of, you know, landscapers to do stuff. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. I can't do anything but cope right now, you know, just garden. And it was impacting my life really negatively. And I just started to bring in raw more and more. I remember having meals where I was so elated. I'd eat one and I'd just be like giddy and laughing and so happy, you know. And I started working more with grounding, sun gazing, and all these I started to see that there's a healing path through earth, wind, fire, and water I started to see through my gardening practice, and then it was starting to come in through my healing practice that was beginning to develop. And I was very consistent with the sun gazing. I started with the whole thing of 10 seconds a day. For those of you who haven't gotten into sun gazing at all, it's good to do the first hour or last hour of the day to be safe. That's when the sun rays are attenuated by the oblique angle that they hit the atmosphere. And so it's very little UV or no UV. And it stimulates the rods and codes in your eyes to process stress chemicals like cortisol. It also, the eyes are the windows to soul. This is actually a way to nourish yourself, even getting sun on your skin. The body photosynthesizes and creates vitamin D. And we're electric beings. Our mitochondria run energy. So this started to become nourishment for me. And I started with the 10 seconds a day, then 20 seconds, then 30 seconds, all the way up to 45 minutes. And at the top of that, I had one of the most blissful experiences I ever had in my life. Up there with the birth of my children, you know, a union with my partner, you know, a special union, and a blissful psychedelic experience. And I felt so connected, overwhelmingly connected to all of life. And it was so beautiful. And so that became a free healing modality that I could share with everyone about you know, this healing through fire, through the sun, through being in the sun, through sun gazing, through just a relationship with the sun, and through movement. And then also it occurred to me this thing of utilizing raw foods and foods of the earth and plants was healing with the earth element, you know, the minerals and the, you know, phytonutrients. And there's also that electricity, that chi, that prana of the sun in those raw fruits, you know, and veggies. And then, you know, waters, you know, we would gather spring water and take our well water and put it out in the sun with crystals and flowers and let it solar charge so as to structure it, because our water becomes our blood in a matter of seconds. You know, and then air, you know, meditation, breath work, exercise, oxygenation. These four elements are in all of us and all of nature. And when we harmonize them within ourselves, we can achieve the highest health possible. And that's all, you know, just becomes such a passion for me, because it's increased my joy in my life by so much. You know, my life force, my happiness, my economic abundance. I'm more electric, I'm more magnetic than I've ever been. And I feel healthier than I was when I was 18. So it's all a very fun thing. And it's something that I encourage also people with this path to do, is get into the fun and the joy of it and just play with it. Play with all the beautiful, juicy, you know, fruits and all the ways you can like make delicious delights out of the plants. You know, I like to infuse medicine into every one of my meals. Something as an herbalist I've been chanting for years is eat something wild every day. Gather some wild dandelions or some violets or, you know, some chickweed, or find out a local wild food in your area and just connect with some of the wild things that you can eat and get a download from that wild resilience of nature. So I also add like tonic medicinal mushrooms. I'm a liquidarian. I've been on liquid foods only for the last 4 years. Kicked it off with a 4-day dry fast, coupling with Great American Eclipse. And so I always try to make all my food, my drinks, like right now I'm having a kombucha, you know, like probiotic, infused with medicinal mushrooms, or, you know, and, you know, or fruits. And I really love the superfoods I've been working with. If anyone's interested in those, please hit me up. I offer a cleanse that is very complete. It's actually the only anabolic cleanse on the market. It cleans glyphosate out of the body. This is another point of passion for me as a permaculturalist and herbalist and someone seeking to develop health in my community. People don't realize what glyphosate is and the horrors that glyphosate causes for health of the whole planet. Glyphosate is a remnant of the war machine from Vietnam. It was Agent Orange. It's a very strong antibiotic. And so the way it works is it kills the microbes in the soil so that the weeds can't survive. And only the glyphosate resistant seeds that Monsanto creates can resist this. And they're all fed through chemical agriculture. So it's kind of like an injection to the plants of nutrients instead of assimilation. And we are just the same as the earth. We are like plants that make soil in our bellies so that we can walk around. And we have our microbiome is actually the same as the microbiome of the earth. It's made of the same, you know, lactobacilli that are everywhere. And you can get them from unwashed fresh fruit right off the tree, you know. But this cleanse offers something that will clean glyphosate out of the body. It's actually been third-party tested to clean 75% or more of glyphosate out of your body. Because if it's in there, if you've ever ate Cheerios, if you ever ate Pop-Tarts, if you ever ate Taco Bell, you know, there's glyphosate in you. I'm sorry, you know. And so this is something to be aware of and something to purge. I try to avoid toxicity and bring in the nurturing vital forces, because when the body is given what it needs, it every cell is seeking homeostasis, greatest electricity and vitality that it can. So we just need to enable it to do that. So the cleanse also has green juice that's like 6 superfood salads that you can that you have in one drink. That's about $2.50 per drink. And there's also super amino 23, which is a vegan amino that's super bioavailable. Most aminos, even from the vegan food you eat, take a couple hours for your body to reassimilate and digest, or digest and reassimilate, and meat even longer. So these in 23 minutes are absorbed by your lymphatic system. And then there's also antiparasitic herbs and a tart cherry juice that helps you sleep and rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. So I'm always trying to bring that stuff into my own life, this whole thing of building this through the earth element. As my teacher, Ellie Tom, would say, if you have to nurture yourself to the, and with food to the highest state of health possible before you can think about, relinquishment of food. So I can wax on forever and ever, and I want to make sure this is like a dialogue and community. So I want to open up here if there's questions or thoughts to share. Anyone? If not, I'll just keep going.
Well, I'll make a comment to hopefully to kick this off, but I do hope that people will feel comfortable to share, and I'll bring up a couple things that I wrote down here for you, Jesse. You talked about meditation. You talked about getting back into meditation. What does meditation do for natural health, and what role does it play? Is it important? Like, do you think people need to meditate?
Vastly. I think each one of these, realms of the elements, earth, wind, fire, and water, we can develop and be really attentive to. So the fire, the breath thing and air, on the one hand, nasal breathing, I want to bring up, is key. Most of us are entrained to shallow mouth breathing. This leads to adenoids. It leads to poor digestion, poor circulation, all manner of things. When you nose breathe, that's like nitric oxide. Just like if you put that in your gas tank and it super oxygenates the fuel and you get more fire, and the car will go twice as fast. So nose breathing is key. Meditation, there's these ways to develop breath work. So you start with nose breathing, and trying to entrain to constantly be nose breathing all the time, deep belly nose breathing. And so to me, on the one hand, meditation is practicing so that you can get that rhythm to be a constant, because it will help you whether you're exercising, whether you're working, whether you're, communicating. Just getting some deep belly breath is really, really helpful. So that's kind of like a constant meditation. And a lot of people are really into breath work. There's all the different kinds and styles. I encourage people to explore with what appeals to you. Most people I find out there working with breath work are trying to get high. And what I see, the object of meditation is you're trying to get centered. So when I meditate, I physically put my concentration on my heart center as much of the time as possible. I also do the Microcosmic Orbit of the Taoists, where you learn to circulate the cerebrospinal fluid through your body. And this has a health effect. This is like some of the deepest part of your health it's actually your sexual fluid, your seminal fluid, your cerebrospinal fluid, and it circulates up and down your spine. This is the Kundalini energy. And so through breathing and consciousness and breathing, you can increase your performance in a variety of ways. Your mental clarity, your exercise, your workouts, your performance at work, etc. But moreover, it's this thing of well-being, cultivating a constant state of well-being. And I like what you said at the beginning of how our thoughts become the reality. We're creators, not consumers. And our thoughts are what ripple out and create these realities. So if you're having a consistent meditation of stress and anxiety and worry, that's actually what you're creating in the world. Pardon me. Those nose breaths got to clear out. It's morning still here. It's in a way of speaking, it cleans the cobwebs out of your consciousness, but it also, every cell needs oxygenation to thrive. And breath can alkalize the body. We're concentrating a lot on alkaline diets, and that's very key. Yet we can still be in acidosis from having acidic thoughts that are poisonous, thoughts that are judgmental, thoughts that are, derisive, etc. So if we can breathe ourselves, the neurons that fire together wire together. And so if you take time to practice meditation on the daily to center your consciousness, I do it at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. Because at the beginning of the day, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I find that the way I start anything sets the tone for the whole thing, whether it's a project, a relationship, a day, a song. What you start with, it just kind of is the seed for its becoming, So if I start my day with a couple, 20 to 30 minutes of meditation, I just feel it out. Sometimes it's 40 minutes, sometimes it's 10 minutes, but I'd say on average, 20 to 30 minutes of meditation. And then I go out and do my sun gazing. I think it's important to rise slowly in natural time. We often arise to alarm and scurry off before we're ready, pumped full of stimulants, coffee and that are acidic, and we haven't worked out our thoughts yet, and we're panicking, and so this is about gaining your sovereignty, gaining your stillness and your center. We're all kings and queens, and we have to kind of claim our center, our lion heart. The heart is connected with the sun and with Leo, so that's a place of courage and love. And so getting into that place is really key. And also, I find the microcosmic orbit being really good because you're moving through the digestion, the reproductive organs, up through the crown, through the, throat chakra, down through the heart, back up, and it with your breath, and it's like a massage for all of your glands and organs, internal organs. So there's so many things. I really love Devon, the Black Airbender, because his whole shtick is just the breath. You can have a full healing practice just on the breath. You'll exude toxins more through your lungs by exhalation than you do through defecation or through your skin. You alkalize the body, you oxygenate the body, you center your consciousness, and so having that discipline, to be disciplined is to be a disciple of yourself. And that's why I said responsibility is freedom. If you take it upon the responsibility to have the discipline, then you will have the freedom of what you want. But you have to take that discipline.
I really liked what you said there about breath work and meditation, and then I want to just talk a little bit about that too. I want to see that when we're meditating, we're focusing on our breathing, but then we're also processing kind of the thoughts. You talked about the Kundalini energy. Whether you want to call that Kundalini energy, whether you want to call that Christ consciousness, whether you want to call that God force, whether you want to call that nature, we're all talking about the same thing. There is one creative energy here. We're all coming from this same energy and going back to the same energy. That's the natural energy. That's the natural healing energy. And the breath is what sustains the life. The breath is the life. So observation of the breath is like really tuning yourself down to the life right here, right now. So breath work is very close to meditation, but you know, the meditation adds that little bit of thought to it too. You know, it kind of adds the idea of processing thoughts. But whether you call this breath work, whether you call this meditation, I kind of feel like you're kind of doing the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be seated, you know, meditate. You could be on a run and be meditating, you know. It's really more about dropping your what is it going to do to oxygenate your body? Drop your consciousness down into your center. To me, the center. So what I understand about this is, you know, your heart is this electromagnetic toroidal field, and it actually, in Chinese medicine, they call it your heart mind, you know, and the heart is the emperor. It controls all of the other organs. It's the electromagnetic field that controls all the other organs. And your brain is small compared to this heart field, you know. So that's the singularity point, similar to like a hurricane, this calm in the center of the storm. There's all this energy and emotion running around, and we can hook into that and be dragged into the drama with our consciousness. Or, sorry, kombucha belch. Or we can be in our center, you know, which is calm, assured, you know, and compassionate. Moreover, and the word compassionate has that word compass in it. So it's your compass is your compassion. Your thought is your judgment. If we can, and as one of my teachers says, we need to drop out of our heads and into our hearts, so that we can awaken the bodhicitta, the awakened, you know, loving wisdom, compassion mind that is the essential core of every human being and every creature and every cell in creation, in my view. This core, you know, this is why, you know, when you know something in your heart, you're not judging it. You're like, not like, oh, I don't know, should I, shouldn't I? You're like, I need to do this, you know. So that there's a sense, it's a sense organ, and it's part of our intuition that we've been trained out of. It's part of our higher consciousness. And when we can resonate there, I suggest people, if they're interested, check out the Stanford Heart Math Institute, where they're talking about brain-heart coherence. And when your heart and your mind connect, when your thoughts align with what your heart actually feels and wants, you know, you have the most potential for happiness, healing, and actually you're operating on multiple brainwave frequencies. And yeah, your electromagnetic field is like you're emanating more electrical energy, and you know, you're stronger electrically. So that's a point of fascination for me, and has been for a while on the breatharian path, that we're truly electrical beings, first and foremost. And the energy we get from food, a lot of that is in the chi energy, the electricity that's in it. So hence the raw foods. But really, I urge everyone to seek, you know, feel their inner guidance, you know, because even in moving to raw foods, it's just like the breath and fasting too. You have to have the sine wave, right? So if you're fasting, you do your fast, but then you have to refeed, fast and refeed. And then you slowly can stretch this out more and more and more, slowly, gently. The gentle path is always the deepest healing. So we want to make sure we're always being gentle and have that sense of self-care. And at the same time, exert ourselves and push our boundaries to see what we can do, you know, in terms of our health, new things that may be different. You know, it may be you're not even bringing raw food is a new thing for your life. Someone made a comment there. What was that? Try and catch that comment.
Yeah, the comment. Can you see it?
I'm trying to work it out on my phone. I missed it. Do you see it? Can you read it?
Yes, yes. I'm traveling and internet is breaking. I'm listening, but please give your mind on the environment that surrounds us. It is so important for the energy balance as we are healing ourselves. We feel with time, living in the city is very hard and against what we do and put effort in, as toxicity is everywhere, especially in the air. So a comment about the energy, I guess, in the city, and I maybe healing and detoxifying the self in the city. How to maximize,
Great
perhaps.
question. Fantastic question. I love it. So on the one, remembering that we're natural beings, we can emulate certain things in our city environments that will help. For instance, having a lot of plants in your house, they will make better oxygen for you. You can also get good HEPA filters and air filters. I suggest those things for quality air. You know, I want to, there's going to be yeah, I'll get back to this point because my mind's too tangential. But so find ways to improve the quality of the air. You can still do your breath work, and all that stuff is still accessible to you, even if the quality is less. The practice will benefit you more than if you don't. Also, with the earth, getting quality organic foods. I offer to you these superfoods. There's something that you can't get there from the grocery store because they pick it from the field, they juice it, they have a special process that conserves the mineral and enzyme richness of the food, and then they ship it to you directly. So it's actually fresher than food, organic food. A lot of it is grown downwind, downstream from farms that spray. It's picked early, shipped, sit in a warehouse, goes to a grocery store, and you get it, and you bring it home, and it sits on your shelf. All the while, the nutrient density is plummeting. So either grow food, find wild foods, go to farmers market, hit me up on Purium. There's various ways that you can find solutions for the earth element. For fire, you can get out in the sunlight, get the sun on your skin, find a place to sun gaze and ground, get your feet barefoot in a park somewhere, hopefully not a sprayed one, or in the mountains if you can get away. See if you can go on a camping trip where you can go sleep outside and be grounded all night and get good oxygen all night from time to time, plan trips. And then the water element. You can do lots of things, in terms of purification. There's cool, machines like the Kangen water machines or Berkey filters or, various kinds of filtration that are high quality that you can then do some structuring with the water, like leave it out in the moonlight or the sunlight, or put flowers in them or herbs, herbal essences for structure and for, kind of to love your waters. So those are things you can do anywhere. And then beyond that, finding ways to, I'm really fond of this thing of getting involved with gardening. I think we should start gardening. The point you made is very dear to my heart because I'm a permaculturalist of 20 years. And I see this, I actually think this is a matter of international security. I think we should all be putting our energy into planting trees and healing soil and healing people. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to swear my life to do that with the rest of my life until we're healing. But gardening is big meditation, and we're involved with all four elements in doing this. Touching the soil, you absorb probiotic through your skin. You're also grounding electrically and getting more centered and gathering negative ions. You're out in the open air, which is better quality air even in the city than inside. You're growing food, of the earth that's going to nourish you. There's this connection and relationship that you have. And this is all nourishing activity, for mind and body. So that's the core of my whole practice, is to connect with the four elements of earth and water every day. If we take ourselves out of the evolutionary pressures of nature, the evolutionary pressures can't help us evolve. So employing fasting, employing, sweating, cryotherapy, or ice baths. We just take all the hacks we can and throw them all in the bag, medicinal mushrooms, herbs, homeopathy, Reiki, get some treatment, get a massage, go to a spa, get some love on yourself. That's the number one way. Number one thing is just find a good way to love on yourself that's actually healthy, that's actually healing, and not one that's just a filler like ice cream.
I love what you said there. All of those things are all awesome things that we can do in the city or in the country. And I think I would also add just changing our focus, like changing our focus from the problems of my situation. Like I live in the city and I have this and the air is not right. Like that's a thought process. Or, this is where I live and I'm going to go out and make the best of it. It's a different kind of process to walking through the city and worrying about the problems of the city, or walking through the city and like just excited about life. Like rather than thinking about the problem with the city, just thinking about growing with what I have. So it's like a change of focus. This is just a little bit of a perspective shift, to shift from worrying about my problem to like really accepting this is what I have. And hey, thank goodness that I have this. Just shifting perspective.
That's a super important point. And actually a little adage we say in permaculture is the problem is the solution. It's important to identify these things, to have a consciousness and awareness about them. But then it's, incumbent upon us all to be creative, to think about what we're going to do to flip the script about that and change that around, And I go around literally through the cityscape, imagining it as a giant food forest, with people walking around,
lots of people energy,
playing sports and like hanging out and gathering apples from the tree and like, and having that, because imaginal acts become facts. And even holding that, like John was saying, if we can think about these things, mastermind and concentrate on them together, they start to manifest more. They start to gain steam. So thank you for that question, though, and that sharing too, John. I think that's very.
And I like that ad that gardening is a big meditation. I noticed, I thought that when you were talking and sharing that your 20 years of, working in the soil and that earth contact every day and being in that out in the sun every single day, like being out in nature every day, all day long. I thought it was so similar to me being in the gym every day for 30 years and exercising every day for 30 years, is that, we kind of fell into this higher energy space because we did choose a profession that, allowed us to be doing something that was energizing us. And because of that, we came to a little bit different awareness, because I was in the gym exercising every single day and moving a lot of oxygen through my body and interacting with people on a daily basis and gathering that relationship energy, growing energy from engagement and from exercise every day, or growing energy from engagement with the earth every single day. Is it's that daily practice? Is that what it is that I'm doing daily is giving me the result that I have in my life? And if I want to get a different result, I've got to do something different, or even just think a little bit differently about it, rather than what's the problem with it, accepting it. Oh, this is what's going on. I'm not fighting with it. I'm really like allowing it, embracing it, accepting it. It's the first step towards loving it, accepting it, forgiving it, and then loving it.
Allowance is huge. It's such a thing that's sort of untaught. We're all kind of in this mode of, we got to fend for ourselves and look out for number one, a little bit. And we got to realize that the universe is always conspiring in our favor at all times. Everything that it's always presenting to us in the present. That's why this thing of cultivating presence through breath is so important, is that when we can come into the presence and can allow, not only allow and accept and love, but give thanks, because this is, even if it's something that seems hard and difficult, it's actually an opportunity. There's some growth to be had. If we can maintain that perspective, to not be, to judge it and to go into, oh, woe is me, but to be like, okay, this is gonna, I love Abraham Hicks' example of like, yeah, so if you're going down the road and you get a flat tire, you come up, try to come up with the consciousness of like, what good is this gonna, some kind of good can come from this. Like maybe that flat tire happened because down the road, there's going to be an accident and you're going to be in it. And, your higher guidance or, creation saved you in that moment from that occurrence. So we're always judging our experiences as positive and negative, but those are always just judgments. If we can, come back to that observer mode, come back to that center of the heart and just see it as occurrences and be allowing and accepting of them, realizing that this is the stepping stone. We need to go from here to there. If we want to get to there, but we often don't want to go through the steps. So we just take it as those are all opportunities for growth. Like just, where you feel resistance coming in, where you don't want to do the thing, that's usually, it's just like lifting weights, right? You get the benefit from the resistance, from doing it again and again and again, that motion of resistance, until you're so strong that it becomes nothing. It's just another easy thing. Just like tying your shoes used to be so hard when you're a kid, and you could get emotionally involved. And, I can't do it, Mom. And, and pretty soon you don't even think about tying your shoes. So that's how we all grow, and so we can embrace it.
We learn to embrace it, learned how to embrace it. It's that fight of trying to learn how to embrace the city or the crowds or whatever is around you, and turn it and flip the switch and turn it into, oh, wow, I've got all these people around me. This is an opportunity. This flat tire, what opportunity is this bringing me? Thinking about it being an opportunity rather than, oh, this is such a terrible thing. It's a shift of mindset. And sometimes shit happens, right? Like sometimes we do have to just like, yeah, this is a shitty thing, but can I even be in a shitty thing and like find peace with the shitty thing? Like I'm just, this is what I'm doing.
Even going through the emotions of it and getting angry with it, like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's actually the energy you need. The Buddhists talk about all emotion is just energy. You just need to learn to channel it to a beneficial outcome. And you can take that energy, that pent energy or whatever it is, and channel it to a good effect. Maybe you're sad. They say anger is a better emotion than sadness in terms of like pulling you more towards happiness.
Yeah.
So don't, it's people will shun away their anger, and that's not healthy, or suppress their anger, and that's not healthy. Get it out. Go on a run. Scream. Get it out. There's plenty to be upset about in the world. For everyone. There's been a lot that we've had to go through collectively, and it's important. Like when we move through and purge the emotions and get back into balance, we're doing it at some level for the all. As we come into more of our stability, we're like a node of stability that we can emanate our strength to other people. So it's something that but the whole thing of environment too is very tricky. You do want to like put yourself in a growth environment, I want to say, as well. Like you don't want to put yourself unnecessarily into too much challenge where it's too much too quick. That whole thing of the gentle path is the healing path. Sometimes, that's what the intent of this community is, that we can get together, people with similar minds about what healing is, and have some community conversation and start to dream build and connect in and get greater resilience through the remembering of our community.
You talked about raw foods. You talked about raw foods, and you talked about fasting. You talked about glyphosate which is detoxification, removing something toxic from the body. Raw foods plays a role in eliminating the toxicity. Fasting plays a role in eliminating toxicity. Glyphosate is a toxic element. There's lots of toxic elements. There are mental toxic elements. There are emotional toxic elements. There are physical toxic elements that have to be removed. Raw foods facilitate the removal or the detoxification of things. So does fasting. These are habits or practices that we do to help remove these toxic elements. And then as those toxic elements are removed, the energy is restored. So it's a little bit different than the thought of nutrition, which is like, you need to get this, you need to get that, you need to get this, you need to get that, to like, I need to remove the toxicity in order to find health. It's a different process of thought.
It's actually both, right? We need to remove toxins, avoid toxins. And then we also need to nurture and support our health through good phytonutrients, through, good medicinal plant phytochemistry, through good minerals and probiotics, and that's what raw foods offer, is all of that in a nice sweet little bundle of fruit or whatever, so it's a lot of fun. I really just enjoy that. That's what's been leading me on this whole path. It has very kind of serious connotations in terms of like human health and community, the health of the world, the future plant. Do fermented foods have probiotics? That's a very good point. Yes. And I encourage people to work with that. And we teach those classes actually at our school, and I have classes on YouTube if you need guidance in that. Pardon me, with my fermented drink, I keep burping. But yeah, it just lacto fermentation at home. You can do kimchi, krauts. You can do lacto fermented salsas and hot sauces, and you can do pickles and brined Asian veggies and anything you like. And just a little bit of that every day is really an amazing way to do. That's been the thing that I've done over the years. Now I'm being liquiditarian. I make that stuff for my family, and I drink the juice. I drink the salty lacto fermented juice leftovers with the flavors, and that's really nice for me. But doing that, touching the ground, like I said, getting the probiotic through that, really, I would avoid most like supplemental probiotics. The one that we offer is really great. I could suggest one or two others that I find reputable, and ones that but a lot of the stuff is geared towards just like making a population of 2 or 3 maybe organisms, where when you're doing lacto fermentation or getting it from the soil or what have you, you're getting a panoply. You're getting like thousands of microorganisms in a balance, instead of like a enormous dump of one kind of microorganism. But excellent question. Thank you. Anything else?
Yeah, and I would add about the probiotics as well too. Something that came to mind there with the probiotics. Is to not be taking antibiotics, to discontinue medications which really destroy the bacteria in the gut. So like trying to stay away from things that destroy our probiotic natural nature. So getting away from the antibiotics, getting away from that idea that bacteria is bad. Like a lot of what's going on right now in the world is that we're afraid of bacteria. Like we're afraid of a germ. Like this germ is going to make us sick. And that's the philosophy that, we're going to be destroyed by something that's external, a germ that's outside of us. If we get in contact with it, we're going to get sick and die. That's the fearful idea. but we can flip that script and change that thought process and think, I'm not, my health isn't determined by something outside of me. My health is determined by something inside of me. And that's my thoughts and words and my energy inside of me that determines my health. So that's a change of mind. That's a change of perspective. That's practicing a different belief. I don't get my health from whether or not I bump into a germ. Sometimes I get around sick people and I don't get sick. So obviously, my sickness isn't determined by contact with illness. My sickness is determined by what's inside of myself when I'm in contact with illness.
It's the whole thing of terrain theory, or fact, in my view, versus germ theory, because actually your genes are made up of more than half viruses, and your body is made of more than 95% microorganisms that aren't you. You're a consortium of microorganisms. You're a super aggregate of microorganisms. So these things actually, our gene complexity is between 10,000 and 30,000, genetic sequences. Some of these viruses, bacteria, and fungi in the soil and such have on the order of billions or trillions. They're like Einsteins, and that's what they can do for us. So it's really, really fun thing to get in contact with. And, it's the new science. It's the science of the last 20 years is quite confirmed, double-blind studies, clinical studies, all up and down, all over. Your immune health is in your microbiome. Largely that, and also, like John pointed out, moreover, your consciousness of how you think and your positivity. Health, your great joy is the greatest health secret.
And the lymphatic system, cleansing the lymphatic system.
Which is the other thing with juicing, fasting, and raw foods. Your lymphatic system is 2/3 of your interstitial water. Only 1/3 is blood. There's all this attention paid to your blood. Your blood is important, but not as important as your lymph fluid. And it's like your septic system. Whatever you put in here has to go through your lymph system to be, processed and eliminated. And so if you have eaten, sticky, mucousy, acidic, inflammatory foods for 30 years and you've gained a lot of weight, that means your lymphatic system is really full, And so when you can process through gently, slowly, through fasting, juicing, raw food, you can actually lose weight. I heard of a doctor who lost a lot of weight. He studied this whole thing through breath work, because check this out, right? We breathe in oxygen, which is O2. We breathe out carbon dioxide, which is oxygen with a carbon molecule attached. So we breathe out more than we breathe in, because we are in a carbon-based life planet, and the life we consume is carbon-based, and our body is made of carbon. What we expirate is carbon dioxide. So you actually, by weight, lose more through breath than you do, like I said earlier, through elimination, through defecation and urination. So breath work is another way to detox and lose weight and clean the lymph system. It pumps it. And exercise, your body has to be physically, the lymph system needs physical palpitation. That's all in your, in your pits and in your groin and in your neck. These things need to move for you to be able to move the lymph system as well. And fruits and berries, there's also herbs like violets, cleavers, that will increase lymphatic drainage. So that's something you can work with too. Tinctures of those, or just growing violets. I really encourage people to use those in their gardens and in their salads. You can eat the whole plant, the roots, the leaves, the flowers. It's fun to eat flowers, in your salads. It kind of connects to the emotional body and, the astral part. of ourselves. So fun stuff.
Cleaning the lymphatic system is a huge one. Like, the lymphatic system, this is the thing. Like, people think, we hear this idea that meat can be stuck inside the body for 7 years or 10 years. You hear this thing, but people think that doesn't make sense, because they can't envision that being stuck in your intestines, but they don't understand that what we're talking about is being stuck in the lymphatic system. And the lymphatic system doesn't eliminate unless really you're in a fasted state. And as long as we're eating 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, which is what we're told to do just to get nutrition, then the lymphatic system never cleans itself out. And it's in the fast that the lymphatic system begins to clear. So this is why the fasting, the daily fasting, the practicing fasting is how the body rids itself, cleans out that lymphatic system. That takes a bit of time. That's a bit of processing to allow that to happen.
And 70% of your body's energy goes to digestion. So when you can fast, your body starts to work on, cellular cleanup, cellular rejuvenation, starts to do other things, starts to make stem cells if you get into deep dry fasting, or if you're working with UT, you're getting stem cells. Like, what we could maybe rebuild our bodies completely and live for hundreds of years. That,
Possible. But it's a bit of a shift of mindset to open ourselves up to some different things that aren't normal or typical or mainstream or in the media. These are kind of hidden truths that you kind of got to stumble upon or find out about or practice in order to recognize the benefit of.
You start to feel it. You feel it. In the words of Bob Marley, he who feels it knows it. Is the truth. You can feel it, and then there's nothing anyone can tell you that can contradict your knowing from your experience.
Beings of feeling. We're beings of feeling and experience.
Yes.
You talked about energized water. You talked about putting some intention in your water. You talked about putting your water in the sun. I think this is an important one to touch on, energized water. You mentioned UT, like this is hydrogen-rich water, or H3, energized water, structured water. Key elements of natural healing. The water in the lake is exposed to the light of the sun, and the sun energizes the water. So the natural water is energized, or H3. So we do need this natural water. The natural water in a fruit, the natural water in a vegetable is in the light of the sun. It grows in the light of the sun. So it captures the light of the sun, the photons of the sun, and takes the H2O and makes it into H3O. That's structured water. That's what's inside of all living things. In fruits, in vegetables, that's what's in raw foods. That's why raw foods cleanse the body. That's why structured water cleanses the body. We're trying to structure our water, take it from H2 to H3. That's energized water. That's natural water. That is the natural healing energy. The sun hits the earth, and the earth is really a water rock. And all of the water in the earth gets turned into H3. That's just natural. So when you touch the earth with your bare feet, you're absorbing or intaking that H3. And it's that H3 energy that heals the body. That's natural energy.
Yes, indeed. I love that. All those points. And, that's what makes me being a liquidarian possible, is we're actually, 70% water or more. We need water more than we need food. Any doctor will tell you can go much longer without food than without water, and much longer without water than you can without air. So that's why breath is primary. Your water secondary for your health, and then your earth, your foods, your minerals, and your phytonutrients. So, and then once you get to a certain state. You don't need that. It's possible to live without that. Greetings. Someone just joined.
Yes. Someone has just joined. My brother Owen from Ireland. Brother, thank you for joining.
Pleasure.
Grateful for your appearance here with us today. We do this every Saturday afternoon, so if it ever fits for you, welcome. Thank you for coming. I know you like to communicate and share, and this is what this is all about, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in with us.
Cool. Pleasure to be here. Didn't know I was going to be on live, to be honest, but I'm very happy to be here. And thanks for the invitation and welcome. John?
Yeah, man. Just sharing raw food, just sharing natural healing, just sharing about fasting, just sharing experiences with one another, just coming together as a group, just breathing together with an intention of growth and improvement and getting well and getting healthy. We just had a comment by Elohim. I'll read it. Food is more of a drug to me, and I agree with you, Elohim. We've been told that we need to nourish ourselves. We've been told we need to nourish ourselves with protein and vitamins and minerals, and it's as if there's a certain thing that we need to get to be healthy. And after you do this for 20 or 30 or 40 years, the body gets full. It's actually the lymphatic system that gets full. And I agree, the food is more of a drug. The liver makes glucose, Elohim says, and pancreas makes insulin to regulate blood glucose levels. And they say we need all this food to get that, but it shuts off our body's natural production. Hence resistance in these organs and things like diabetes. Exactly. The food is actually making us sick, Elohim. You are exactly right. No natural detox of these organs makes pancreatitis and fatty liver disease, because they basically rot and shut down or are being overused.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. That's why I've moved to this. That's why I'm moving toward breatharianism, liquiditarian at the moment, and have been for 4 years. And it's such a relief for my whole body and mind to not be addicted to food, even raw food. It's like my juices, even those, like sometimes I'll have too much and feels too full from juice, and because it's, that thing of it is, I learned this as an herbalist. Everything in botany, everything is classified by its toxic. Its taxonomy is defined by its toxicology. So everything has poison in it. It's the poisons that can actually enact healing depending on, what, through sympathy or antipathy, depending on what the diseases are. But our natural state is perfection and balance. And we're actually energy beings primarily. And that we can get this energy just from the earth, from the air, and even in terms of environment, the lady's comment from earlier, the cosmic energy is raining down from everywhere all the time. It moves through buildings and walls. You can't escape it. You're an energy being in a sea of energy. And energy, like I said before, is what really powers the mitochondria. So the thing of it is, to move to this breatharian state is to attenuate the body, to move away from more solid state foods to ever more subtle, and doing these other practices all the while. You can't become a breatharian, if you don't do the meditation, or ways to increase your energy, to manage your energy so that you stay stable and balanced. Because when you get emotional, you lose your energy, So it's a whole mind-body connection of centering and balance and actually getting what you want and realizing you are always supported. This whole thing of the universe is conspiring in our favor. I saw it first through herbs, but now through the breatharian experience. Just to familiarize you all more with what I'm going through with that. Like my current practice right now is I dry fast 16 hours a day, and then I do liquids for 8 hours a day with my family, and that's tea, juice, and broth. I keep it thin, and like I said before, even that can be too heavy for me, But I'm in this state. I'm honoring that right now. I'm in the householder years with my family, needing that connection with them when they sit down and have dinner. because I did in January a 36-day dry fast where I did 24 hours dry fasted, took 2 hours to refeed on liquids, then did 18 hours dry fasted, refed, then did 24, refed, then did 18, then refed for 36 days. And I never felt better in my life, but I felt so emotionally disconnected from my family that it was too hard. So it's this whole thing of balance. We have to balance it's a charge that we need to grow into in terms of mastery anyways, I feel, as a collective, how to balance our minds and balance our health, So I really appreciate Elohim's comments. It's exactly right. I just want to encourage people to nurture themselves there slowly. And that actually there's places where people are in such bad condition from toxicity, overexposure of glyphosate and chemical agriculture and processed foods and too much mucus forming foods and meats and toxic hormones and everything else, that there's, the higher and the lower. So we're just going, I really like this idea of you just every day you're just trying to do a little bit better than you did the day before. Not a lot. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, but just try to do a little bit better at least, so you can have that satisfaction, that you're developing yourself.
To comment on that breatharianism, that's also a passion of mine. I haven't spoken much about that lately, but this is where Jesse and I came together, is in a pursuit of breatharianism and a common teacher, Tom Elamine, who was a breatharian teacher. And breatharianism is really about moving to living on less food, living without food, learning how to live without food. And these things are actually possible. It's about energy. It's about moving to energy. It's about learning how to live on the natural energy rather than sustaining ourselves with the macronutrients, which is what we've been told. So it's letting go of the ideas of those macronutrients. It's letting go of that stuff that we've all been told and moving to that more subtle, gentle inner energy, which is a loving natural energy. And we can be sustained by that if we can learn how to identify that energy within ourselves. And this is why the meditation is like watching the breath and learning how to feel that inner energy. And when we take the food away, this is how we can feel it. But when we're filled up with food and filled up with coffee and filled up with alcohol and drugs, these things are way too powerful for us to feel those real gentle, subtle energies of love. But at the same time, if you go full breatharian and you've got a family, I'm the same. I've got a family too. And I find the same thing. Like you got to find some sort of balance, because if you go so far into breatharianism, you kind of pull yourself out of the society. You're so different than everybody else. You're running on an energy that nobody else is identifying with. So you kind of alienate yourself. And this is why I don't really talk about what I'm doing too much as going breatharian, as much as I just talk about healing, loving.
Right.
Just the words that you use. If you start talking about breatharian, sometimes some people go, breatharian, what's that? And it sounds like it's something that they don't understand or identify with. So just different words, boys and girls. We're talking about energy. We're talking about love. We're talking about nature. Breatharian is just a result along the way.
It can be, and it doesn't have to be. It's that thing of like cooking where you're at. That's what I want to offer to the world. Just something a little bit better than where you're at now. Any way I can serve you to make your life, increase your life in any way, that's what I'm here to do. That's the work that I'm working on now, is that I just want everyone I come in contact with, I want to leave them with a sense of increase. Like they've, if there's something that I can offer them humbly, then I want to be able to, and that's been the number one thing for me, is all these healing modalities. Like you said, these are just healing modalities. They've got plenty of clinical research. You can just jump into any of them for free, whether it's fasting, sun gazing, getting in, raw food. Most of us got to buy our vegetables or whatever, but you can just grow it too, so it can all be free, in this life of true freedom.
Another excellent comment by Elohim here. Healthy emotions help a lot to me because the hormone control of the endocrine system creates on emotions like cortisol can affect our journey for fasting and healing too, because it can take away our proper levels in our body. And healthy emotions are absolutely key. But even finding like peace with the unhealthy emotions, because I've made the mistake of sometimes avoiding the unhealthy emotions because I want to feel the good positive emotions, which is key, yes. But if we're avoiding the negative emotions and not learning how to sit and find peace in the negative emotions, it's to learn how to find some acceptance of those negative emotions.
How to skillfully navigate negative emotions is grossly undervalued. We just try to push away our negative emotions, like you said. And it's much more skillful if you can identify and work with it skillfully. But I appreciate what Elohim said too. That's really the thing of it for me. That's why I'm into this like breatharian practice. To me, it's really about total freedom, total sovereignty, total health, total self-sufficiency, stability. I want to be a pillar for my community. How can I be a pillar if I'm unstable?
I'm going to ask Owen to comment a little bit about his practices. I know he's doing a lot of similar things like this too. Breatharianism, raw foods, fasting, and relationships, and sharing about relationships. It looks like he's out barefoot there in the sun. Owen, could you unmute yourself and maybe comment a little bit more on we've got some comments here. You have to unmute yourself there, brother. Would you like to make a little comment about?
There we go.
Yeah.
Hi, John, and hi, Jesse, and everybody watching. Lovely to be here. I'm just running barefoot at the moment in Ireland in the grass.
Nice.
As you can see, getting a bit of the sun. And I love listening to you. And nice to meet you, Jesse. I'm very interested in what you're talking about. So thanks for the invite, John. Yeah, I'm interested in the whole like pranic living and juicing and fruitarian and raw food. It's basically, I love to hear what you're saying. For me, I've always stuck with raw food because of how it affects me emotionally. About my vibration, my energy, my heart, like being able to align my higher self to my heart easier when I'm less irritated or bogged down with the heavier food or the irritating food. So, yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was for me. Just trying to find a better state of well-being, and just part of my experience with it is part of my heart that brought this in was just wanting to be more gentle in the world, be more humane, myself and just see it in the world. Like, to be more kind and
absolutely. They say kind. Some of my favorite quotations are like, kindness is the language of angels, and kindness is actual spirituality in action. Kindness is spirituality in action. And like, I feel the path to kindness is often a mixture of what you were saying, like learning to feel our feelings, like some people call it emotional maturity, and learning how to feel more compassion and understanding and care. And when you reach a sense of compassion, here's a quote. One of my newer favorite quotations is when compassion is stronger than our ego, harmony is the result. And when you reach this compassion or heart-centeredness, and we work on forgiving, like compassion, love, and forgiveness, then we're able to be kind. When you're full of resentment, begrudgery, like holding a grudge, resentment, or anger, it's hard to be kind or impossible to be kind. In fact, all of these things, like the Buddha says, anger is like holding onto a piece of hot coal. It burns and hurts you more than the person you're angry towards. And so does resentment and holding a grudge. The closed heart hurts us the most. And one of the things that I've learned through my arduous and deeply challenging relationship challenges, which is meant in my life, I feel it could be potentially from my higher self or from, you know, from a greater part of me. One of the things I've learned from a great teacher of mine, the Arcturians, apparently, is if you ever have a challenge in your life, ask yourself these two questions. And this has helped me in my life lately too. And those other quotations I've shared with you all as well. Ask yourself is, why did I create this? Like not me and my ego, or like, but why, maybe potentially, if you want to believe in that, we don't have to believe in this, of course, but why did I create this? Like maybe my higher self or my whatever, my higher aspect. And two, what is this here? What can I learn from this? So yeah, these have been big questions for me that have helped me with my challenges and helped me to evolve and expand and mature, you know. Powerful questions to be more kind, etc., and more evolved, heart-centered.
I love that. I love that. And I want to bring that back to Elohim's comment here, using negative emotions to for reinforcement. And I think that's it, is what Owen is talking about there, is like sitting in the negative emotion, being in it, and then asking yourself some questions in the emotion rather than reacting to the negative feeling. Rather than like acting angry about the feeling or acting upset about the feeling or acting like a victim of the feeling, it's to shift it and say, you know, why am I getting this feeling? Why am I feeling like this? Why did I create this feeling? What do I need to learn from this feeling? How do I need to grow? What do I need to know? What don't I know yet? It's just talking a little bit differently to yourself while you're in the negative feeling. Like, I don't like my situation. Okay, well, let's talk a little different about my situation. I'm going to speak a little bit differently towards or about my situation in order to feel it a little bit different about my situation.
Yeah. I love what you said there, John. And they say, one of my favorite quotations too, is very applicable. You know, some of these quotations help me enormously. And I love what you said there, John. It's like a gigantic leap to switch, what you're saying sometimes, to switching from our heart to our heart from our head is huge game changer. It changes us totally in how we feel and perceive. And it absolutely totally changes how we talk to or interact or communicate or treat other people. So one of my other favorite quotations is, the longest journey is from our head to our heart. So that's a big one, snapping out of our ego, so to speak, or our pain body, as some people call it, or our shadow, and getting into more like some people call it our higher self, or even just our hearts, you know. So
this is the thing that I love, you know, a lot. I really love what everyone's sharing here. It's beautiful, as I like to say. It reminds me of a few things, you know, that are sort of adages in my head. John's comment of, you know, to respond rather than react. The comment you made about what was it? Jeez, lost my train of thought a little bit. That's it. Just kind of whatever it was you said reminded me of, I think it's Saint Michael. I can't remember which one. Said something to the effect of seek to heal rather than be healed. You know.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah.
We're often like, oh, I need this, and some, if only like had this, then it would help, you know. But when we switch the script on it again and be like, how can I help you? That's an alchemical thing. Since we're all one, if I can serve you, it makes me feel good. Everyone has had that experience. A lot of people, if you've been, you know, I'm grateful that I've been able to, through my work and through life, you know, that's, you know, so that's, you know, just a beautiful way to be and live and to grow into. To be, the heart is the first organ that forms, you know. So we're truly heart beings first and foremost. This is our original nature, you know. See the compassionate wisdom being, you know, and your subconscious is everything below your neck, basically. You're all these nerves and neural plexuses and ganglion, your electromagnetic subtle energy body that exists mostly in your body. This is just a small part. This is like the miniature version of this thing, you know. And attention to this, when this is where we live, mostly in here, in the trunk of our tree.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Beautiful.
So,
I love that.
Awesome. Love what you're sharing, brother. Love what you're doing. Keep
Thanks. Same with you. Same with John as well. Both of you. To two J's. And I like to be the third J. Some people call me Jesus occasionally as a joke.
All right.
Can we get any comments from the feminine ladies here? I'm you know, if you don't want to, that's okay too. But I would love to inspire or ask if any of the ladies would add their feminine
Wisdom.
Yeah.
That feminine wisdom.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
Please, ladies, if you feel inspired to comment at all.
Yeah.
We're waiting. The gentlemen are waiting.
Yeah.
I have just arrived. It's a little bit late here in my country. I'm in Europe, Bulgaria. Just arrived from my long trip, but I don't know if you can hear me. Probably you can. So
Yeah.
I'm Elena. I am working energetically here in this region. It's very funny and nice, very active. But we are absolutely having the same first world problems everywhere. So everywhere, and it's also not only based on the way everything is built up, but also on the thinking. You're very right. So the mindset should be somehow very kindly cherished and nurtured and so on and so far, but it's especially for the women, it's really hard because women are very sensitive, and when women start taking the side of Breatharianism or sun gazing or whatever, like a lot of the back info is you're crazy or you're nuts or whatever, you know, or it's not fitting it's not comfortable for a lot of people because they are feeling good to be asleep. They're feeling good to be controlled. They're feeling good to go and get that food that is processed. They're feeling relaxed doing it. They feel safe. If they don't do it, they don't feel okay. So this is a very we are in a battle not only with ourselves but with accepting that some people, they will just choose to stay asleep, and we should not be offended from their choice or something. But it's very hard to make to draw the line where to be yourself and where to step a step back and just to not and say yes. Yes, you're right. I wish you a good day. All the best.
We have to allow
see you never. And so on.
That's that allowance and acceptance, right? You know, just being.
Yes. But it's very
I
hard.
respect your decision. I respect you.
Some people really want to reach out to them, but they're super asleep. But like there is some telepathy that works because I work with telepathy as well. But there is also like this moment that they're so controlled, they get offended. But like their soul is asking for this. And there's so many layers and levels of the energetical work. It's for especially, I don't know about other women, but I think like we are a little bit more, and men as well too, but we are seeing a lot of the dimensional sides of things, like we're in different dimensions, so to say.
Your women are more empathic and naturally heart-centered. You know, us men are just trying to do what you guys do easily and naturally.
We're trying to learn from each other.
Connected with that, you know, but women are our guide. In it's interesting. I want to make this point in biology. If you look at, like, you know, societies of animals and bugs and everything, they're largely almost all are matriarchal. Same with indigenous societies. When in your household, who's the punisher and who's the one who nourishes you? You know, when growing up, you know, your father has a good role to keep you upstanding, to keep you accountable, to give you support. You know, there's the women teach the vibration of nurturing and care, you know, and we all originally start as women, and then there's a little chromosomal change, you know, when we need the both, you know, the forces of generation, masculine and feminine, or whatever, positive and negative, you know, in electricity or the atom, you know, or what have you. But there's the Tao talks about stay to the feminine, stay to the Tao, you know, is in the feminine. So that's deep in my heart.
Yeah, nowadays we are very deeply connected as souls, which is very good because our high frequency on the earth allows this shift and communication, not only as like different, just as souls, but here I want to quickly shift the subject and ask you, because I really unfortunately have to go. It's like almost
I got
here. What is your intake on honey? Because I am starting with my bees. I'm going to put honey houses or honey bees hives.
I eat lots of honey.
Yeah, honey's great.
I think
honey is amazing, and there is like they collect it from different places with completely different things in it, and I think this is very good also to be encouraged for people to.
I think with the breatharian thing, actually, it's very resonant. Like Steiner talks about bees being beings of the sun. They get up with the sun, you know, they follow the solar cycle, you know, diurnally. They're you know, many beings that work as a collective, like one organism, you know, and they make this golden nectar, you know, that is nutritious and medicinal. It'll heal your cuts, it'll preserve things that, you know. So yeah, I work with honey and maple syrup as sweeteners exclusively.
Awesome. Elohim commented here, I feel sometimes we have to victim blame ourselves instead of the other. And I want to say that I agree. We have to take responsibility. I think that's what that says. We have to, rather than blame the other, we have to take responsibility for the emotions rather than blame the other. 100% agree. Responsibility is 1000% necessary for healing.
Yeah, I agree. 100%.
I agree.
Yep. That ownership, we shy away. It means work. That's the thing that we shy away from. It's like, just embrace that.
Yeah.
It's very good when we connect. It's very good when people try to connect with people that are mind alike from now and then, because it helps them to get in the collective vibe, and even after a meeting it stays, it works in the Hintergrund in German, in the background in the background. So it's very nice. I am really happy, thankful to connect with you today. We will exchange.
Please join again.
Yes, for sure. And all the best to everyone that were here. Much love. And for me, nice dreams. Astro traveling is a big part of getting on a high vibration. This is another subject, maybe for another.
Yes, maybe you will share about it with us next time.
Oh yeah. I have a lot to share. But step by step, all the best.
We will wait.
Bye. Bye,
Elena. Nice to meet you. Thanks, John, for hosting. I like the way you host things. You're fantastic. Yes. You're a great organizer and get together, or like you're a great creator that way.
Oh, and I'd love for you to do a share, sometime. I mentioned it to you before. I like to have, build this community. I'd like to have people share. So, I would invite, I know you're a communicator. I would invite you to also come and be prepared to present for 30 or 60 minutes like Jesse did, and field questions and answers. I think it's important that people hear different opinions and different positions, and share freely with each other and ask questions, because natural health is confusing.
I'd absolutely adore to do that. It'd be very exciting for me to talk and answer questions, and just all of us communicate about a mixture of health and diet and energy and physical detoxing, but also about like what we're talking about emotional detoxing in terms of like triggers, pain body, shadow, and all the whole thing, what happens in relationships, triggering each other, messengers, ending the mess in each other, etc., etc., etc. Thumbs up from Jesse.
2, double thumb. I love it.
I'm just going for a walk here, holding my mum's hand.
Hi, Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hello, how are you?
Great. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
So yeah,
that's lovely. Nice to meet you.
Hands. That touches me. That's how it is with my mom.
they both have families.
Yes.
Yeah. We all have families. That's sweet to hear. Happy.
Yeah.
Intimate.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah,
I had to say it, but I have to go because I need to do something at this time, and my phone is about to die.
that's a good reason.
Awesome, my brother. Awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing with us. Hopefully we'll have you back again. We're going to do this every Saturday afternoon. If you can ever join in, everyone is always welcome. This is what it's about. It's about healing. It's about sharing. It's about community. It's about love. It's about nature. It's about breath. It's about breathing together. It's about coming together in the moment with the breath, being present. This is what life is about. The life is about the breath. The breath supports the life.
The community. I appreciate that. I think we can all say, I know I got something from just connecting in with everybody. So thank you.
Yeah. Pleasure. Lots of love. And I got something too. So it's been therapeutic to talk. It's been therapeutic, especially just to listen to you and to be here to communicate part of the group. So thanks for the healing, the help.
Tribe, family, love you.
Family, love you. Take care, guys and girls, everybody. Yeah, had a great time. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Wonderful. Love. Glad you came. Glad you all came. If anyone has anything else that they want to add or share or ask at any time, you're all welcome.
Thanks, John.
Welcome. See you,
John,
soon.
can I listen to the replay of this? Because I'd love to hear more about his liquidarian experience.
I'll send you a copy, brother.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
You're fantastic. Well, you're doing so much work in the world, John.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
You're a happy man. Happy spirit.
I'm trying, brother. I'm practicing kindness. I'm practicing love. This is just practice.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can encourage Rhonda to type into the chat or ask any questions or share anything today, and she doesn't have to, but if she would like to, that would be great. And if not, hopefully we'll see her again or hear another time or anything like that. All things are well and good here.
You have a good tan there, John. And yeah, if Rhonda, obviously, I don't know Rhonda, but while she's waiting, just thought I'd say have a good tan. Bit of summer over there, yeah?
Yeah, we're having some nice weather over here now.
Cool. I just dodged a branch.
Great, great. All right, so I'll finish off today if no one else has anything else to say. With just saying, let's just finish off with just some conscious breaths. Let's just take 5 or 10 conscious breaths together, and all we're doing when we're conscious breathing is we're connecting to the nature. Nature is breath. Every breath we take is a sharing with the nature. We can't live without the breath. So the breath brings us to the present, brings us to the power that is here in the now, in the moment, in the present. Just observation of the breath, just tuning out the external noise and just trying to tune in to just the breath, like observation of the inhale and the exhale, and trying not to get caught up with the thoughts. Can you stay with the breath alone for 3 or 5 breaths? And I like to teach that this is the practice, it's a focus practice. It's an awareness practice. It's to become aware of my inner energies. And this is energy healing work. That's what the process is. Natural healing is energy healing work. Thank you so much for joining us all here today. Thank you so much for coming together every Saturday afternoon at 2 and every Sunday morning at 11. We'll get together for some movement, some exercise, and some positive thoughts and words. Join in anytime. You're all welcome all the time here.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, guys. Have yourself a great day, great weekend, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.